Hello guys, welcome back to the Top Drive show. It's that time of the month again. Time for the next Q&A, which is the October Q&A. It's been a while since our last video. So we will have myself, John and Tim answering the questions you've submitted under the previous video. So let's go. Hello guys, my name is Dimitri. I'm a community manager here at Top Drives.
Hi, I'm Jonathan and I'm design director here at Hutch.
And I am Tim and I run analytics and marketing at Hutch.
Great. Hi guys. So this is the October Q&A and we haven't met for almost a month now, so it's been quite a while. Yeah. But we have picked the 5 questions from the comment section under the previous Q&A, and you guys are ready to answer them now. You're ready, yeah?
Yeah. Let's go.
Okay, so the first question is from Kiss It Yourself, and the question is, in the last 3 updates, we have more than doubled the amount of legendary cars in the game. Is this a trend that will continue in the future updates? And if so, are there any plans to alter drop rates for legendaries?
Right. So it's not necessarily going to continue. It does depend on what cars we get in. And, when we're requesting them, we don't even know for sure where they'll come out, until we get all the stats in and we run the thing where we put every car against each other and rank them. So we don't know it in advance. Koenigsegg has been hanging around for a long time as well. We were waiting for an update to sort of contextualize it and have it make sense. So that's why putting it with a bunch of other European cars made sense.
And just, even in that last update, even sort of Peugeot, where you could look at them as being like, okay, well that's going to be a low end spread, but obviously there's a lot of motorsport cars came along with that, and yeah, like you say, it's hard to plan that out.
That's right, and we fill in from player requests, and often player requests are for some of the coolest stuff. If you ever see us calling out for player requests and you want lower end cars, make sure to ask for those. It did just so happen the European Revolution one was a little bit slimmer at the lower end, unfortunately. But yeah, so the other thing I would say is that there's something you don't really want the game to end. I don't. If there aren't very many legendaries, there's some people who have got a lot, and you know how disappointing it is to get a duplicate legendary. There's an open question we've talked about a few times about whether there's something else you can do with that. But the more there are that you don't already have, the greater the chances are of a new one, at least new to you, turning up. So there is a certain advantage to it. And it's sort of the same for everybody. It's sort of a collection game, but nobody can aspire to collect all of the cars. That is kind of how it goes. So it's a bit odd. And in terms of increasing the drop rates, we talked about it before, the people who benefit the most are the people who open the most packs. So it's definitely a thing that will be brilliant for the whole game. So yeah, I don't know. We do have these additional collection events that you see now, right, where we're giving away prize cars for beating a challenge. They've been popular. We've run them a few times, and that's an additional legendary coming into the game.
Yeah, and I think that's almost kind of a good point to make. Is that in some ways, in terms of kind of trends that we see, I think more ways to play and kind of more event types and more modes, although they're not a frequent addition, that is definitely something that kind of, as the product keeps evolving, it will almost definitely be more of those, and obviously kind of they need prizes, and I think there will be more kind of avenues open up in terms of kind of obtaining these cars.
Yeah, so again, that's about it.
Great, thank you. And I almost forgot to say that everyone will get a carbon fiber pack. Everyone who will get their questions answered in this show. So 5 people will get the carbon fiber pack, so including Kiss It Yourself. So the next question is from Scott Drysdale. The question is, many other card collection games have a ladder or endurance mode. Are there any plans to add something like this to Top Drives?
Yeah. The particular ones that sort of use up your roster, right? Like you can use each item, crew member, whatever you have in your game, or car, in this case, once. So it tests your breadth in that way. What other ones? We spoke to Robin briefly about this. He mentioned that in these other games you have a concept of health, and your hero characters have health that gets worn down as you progress, and that is an interesting part of the mode. And in Top Drives, we don't have health. Your car is a car and it can drive or not. we slightly have that thing where after 10 races, it needs to wait to service, I guess. So possibly we could leverage that somehow. I don't know. So it's quite an interesting idea. It just doesn't lend itself completely obviously to this game because we don't have health, but there could be a way. Like I say, I'm always interested in other possible new modes. So it is an interesting idea. That thing of using up your cars as you go sounds quite cool. On the other hand, there are some people in top drives who have 1,000 cars, and there's some people who have 200, and it would be completely trivial for the people with 1,000 and almost impossible for the people with 200. So there's a difficult balancing question there as well. I don't know. It's worth putting in the mix, thinking about for new modes.
Definitely. Okay. Thank you, Tim. So the next question is from Crow C, and the question is, what would happen when a brand license runs out and doesn't renew?
That's a good question. I mean, not a common question that comes up. I mean, we obviously, I wouldn't want to be sort of speaking for them. I mean, we must have, I think there's approaching 70 manufacturers in top drives now. I need to go and double check that, but it's certainly in that ballpark. I mean, we feel like we have a great relationship with the manufacturers. I think from the kind of very early days when we first went to them with the kind of proposal, with the concept, I think they could see that it was something quite different in the racing space and in the mobile space. And it is still quite a unique proposition, and it means it kind of opens up. Not everybody wants to have a kind of physical skill-based racing game. And so I think to a product like Top Drives actually kind of is really interesting, and it potentially appeals to kind of a different segment of their, their customer base. So yeah, I mean, on the whole, the relationship is fantastic. I mean, we're talking to them, engaging with them very frequently, obviously around updates, but there's also a kind of background conversation that goes on. And yeah, basically we sign long-term licensing deals with them. So there's no immediate worry or concern about things running out. But we also renew. We're also constantly on top of that, and we are kind of renewing deals also in the background. So it's not something that is on our, it's not in the sort of on the list of concerns or anything like that, because the relationships are good, and we are kind of managing that in a way that feels very sustainable for years to come. So certainly players do not need to worry about that.
Okay, thank you very much, John. Next question is from Redline Top Drives, and the question is very simple. Will we get a new roadmap?
Right. Yeah. So Robin posted a roadmap back in June, I think it was. This is where we sort of outline roughly what are we thinking of next, what are the big things that are going to be coming up. We don't have an exact timeline because you never know with code quite how long something will take or when other things will turn up. I know some of the things have turned up. There's some quite annoying, important but annoying, like data legislation that we have to be compliant with. So we have to do a thing to not capture data this way, or let people opt out and all this kind of stuff. So we've had to do a bit of that, unfortunately. But in that roadmap that was posted in June, that remains largely the same, right? So that has the engine improvements, i.e. physics, right? Getting rid of the engine traction bonus, a few other little things which will fix a lot of issues and also potentially change which tune is the best, and therefore it comes with a short-term ability to do a one-off tune change. That whole package of things, that's still in the works. And then the other thing that was mentioned was flexible criteria. So currently packs and events, it's like 5 times European Revolution or 5 times Italian Saloon or something. And those are all definitions that we've defined in advance and set up in advance. But sometimes that can limit us. And for example, there's a thing where you can have an event and the nature of the track set is the best pack we could offer for it isn't going to give you entirely cars that will be useful for the tracks that are there. And the idea is flexible criteria would enable us to put together any criteria, so we don't have to have previously thought of it, and we can also join things together. So you can say you can use 3 Peugeots all Lanciers or something, or just any kind of combination, gives us more power and the ability to offer a pack that gives you that thing. So the packs become more relevant. It adds more to what we can do in events. Generally, makes all that stuff work better. That is also still in the works in terms of things that are coming up next. So that is, in terms of big things, those are still there on the roadmap. There's also this bit about improving the visuals of the game as well. That's an ongoing project that players won't have seen any turn up yet. But that roadmap is largely similar. I guess we could do an update. There's a few things maybe here and there, but broadly that is the stuff that's coming up next still.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Tim. And the final question for today comes from Mr. Glee. The question is, we have had titanium packs and tons of specific carbon fibers. How about a one-off pack that we choose a specific car to fill the vacant holes in our garages or to help with specialization?
Right. So, because you see this in other games, right? And actually we have a version of it in F1 Manager where you get different drivers and parts, but there's a shop on a rotation where different ones turn up and you're like, finally, there's just what I always wanted, and you can specifically buy that thing. Or other games where there's a limited time opportunity to buy a thing and it will give you one of these 3 at random, and you're like, I definitely want 2 of those, so it's probably worth going for. It's not necessarily an easy fit for top drives, which is very much about this challenge of judging the risk and utility of a specific pack and whether it will give you the car you need. And the all cars filter helps you to figure that out a lot. I do think there could be something in it. Like there's some places like, for example, in an owner's challenge, when a prize car comes up on repeat and the people who've already got it, we don't want them in the end event again, winning another version of it. So they get a challenge instead and they can win a legendary. There is maybe something there that like maybe they get to choose 1 out of 3 legendaries or something, because those players sort of by definition have been around for a long time and they probably have a few legendaries already. Maybe we would offer one that they already have and that would not be fun at all. So, maybe there's something there. Or maybe like occasionally I could imagine some more choice, like you can win a choice of titanium pack. Is it a French titanium or a British titanium or something? Like so that element of choice is quite interesting. I would say generally we try to make features as efficient as possible, right? If we're going to do a bunch of code and QA and try to make it work, we want it to be as powerful as possible and apply to as much of the game as possible. And those 2 things I mentioned, they'd be very niche and they don't come up all the time and they don't affect that many players. So I think it's an interesting idea. I don't think we deploy it unthinkingly, like, hey, everybody, you can buy this specific Datsun now. You can buy the McLaren.
F1. Yes, it would definitely have to be sort of rolled out carefully. Just again, we talk a lot in the past about keeping the balance, keeping things fair, and we'd have to make sure that worked. I mean, just thinking sort of on the fly, which is probably always dangerous on this when you're doing this show. But I mean, there could be something. It might be worth having the conversation around the flexible criteria that you mentioned before, in terms of being able to kind of build packs on the fly. It might be that there is there's an underlying kind of tech that can be sort of shared between this and the feature that's being mentioned. Mm-hmm. Or we look at store rotations and things like that. But definitely an interesting area, but we'd have to approach it with caution.
That's right. Yeah, I do wonder maybe for the more common cars, like I checked there's some super rares that I still don't have. Look, it's so many, and it's like, okay, I probably should have that by now. Where it has never turned up. That's crazy. And maybe it wouldn't break the game too much to let you occasionally have the chance to go, hey, there's this super rare. Do you want it for a bit of gold? Like, yeah, I really, really want it. Maybe that could work. I don't know. Yeah, it's worth thinking about.
Okay, thanks both. This is the end of this section, and we are now going to move on to John's bonus question. So last time the question was, what is the worst car in top drives conceptually?
Yeah, so it went a bit dark with this, but it was just like, what car do you just think shouldn't really have existed? There's I kind of a wide range of answers, which is good. I'll just run through them sort of quickly. The Kraken HW has gone for the VW Atlas. So it sounds like, I think the feeling behind this is it's just utterly kind of average, but to a kind of, yes, to a horrible degree. Just doesn't, sort of average to bad, just doesn't do anything well. I mean, it's a front wheel drive off-road car, which is, again, conceptually, I think jars with some people. So yeah, I get that. Hate Boy has gone with the Aztec, Pontiac Aztec, which was, it's basically just, he summed it up with, it's hideous. And I think most people would agree. I mean, I know there's been, we've all been sharing photos of the new so BMW 3 Series and 4 Series with its crazy new grille. And, I think actually BMW has done this in the past, where there's definitely a strand of car design where you go almost kind of, whether you just talk about kind of awkward or just, you want a reaction from people, and sort of any reaction is good. I think with the Aztec, it probably just went the wrong side of that, and actually it's just it's probably fair to say that most people would consider it an appallingly bad looking car, but it's still made famous in Breaking Bad, and it's, I don't know, it's, maybe you could say it's got character. A few more here. Joey Trekker has gone for the Peugeot. I don't know whether this is like 1007 or 1007, which, as he points out, is any reference to 007 with this type of car is just not a great combination. Doesn't quite go together. Crazy doors. They were unbelievably slow. I know a car that got kind of picked apart on quite a few sort of car magazines and car shows. Skyjaws has gone for the Rover 400. It's quite a sort of technical reason, in that it came with a K-Series engine, which quite famously had head gasket problems. I've run 2 cars with K-Series engines, and I think possibly one of them did suffer from this problem. So it's very, very well known. But I don't know, the K-Series, I'm not so sure about this one. K-Series was when it worked, it was a great engine, and quite innovative at the time. And so, not too sure. In the Rover 400, sort of, I think it handled okay for the time. And then the final one, just to mention, is Redline. Redline top drives. And he's gone for basically the kind of FN2 generation of the Honda Civic Type R. And I kind of, I get this. I mean, there was this sort of the really boxy version, kind of the EP3 generation before, was just a kind of, I don't know, I guess you could say it sort of wore its heart on its sleeve. You just knew what you were getting. The kind of the FN4 generation just seemed to, I don't know, it just seemed to be kind of a back step. It just seemed kind of softer, not as advanced in the suspension department, not as good a shape. But I think in a way, Honda absolutely redeemed themselves with the latest generation, which just sounds like an absolute beast, and is a car that I would love to have a shot in at some point. I think I probably shouldn't pick winners really, but I think if I was to pick one, I'd probably go for the Peugeot. I think in terms of kind of just conceptually, I think it just feels like little cars should be inherently fun. And it just feels like they sucked all the fun out of it. Even just with the speed that door opens and closes at is just, I know maybe it was a car designed for the older generation, but I think even if you're the older generation, you still want a bit of life, a bit of fun in your car. So I'd probably agree that would be the one I would pick out. So yeah, thanks for everybody for sending in the suggestions. It's great to see the mix of cars that people really don't like. Next bonus question is, And I might open this up. Obviously, if it's in top drives, it's great. If you can reference those cars, but I'd maybe just open this up. I only recently discovered that the W Motors Lycan Hypersport is actually shares a lot of components and engine and chassis with a roof. And I just had absolutely no idea of this. So my next question is, what's the most surprising? What's the phrase? What's the most surprising kind of shared components in a car? I know the VW group does this a lot, where they have one platform, and there's a range, whether it's kind of a VW, a Bentley, a Lamborghini, or kind of across their range. So yeah, what surprised you most in the platform sharing world? Slightly geeky car question, but we have some good arguments in the community. So see what they come up with.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you very much, John. And thank you, Tim, for joining today as well. I think we're done for today. So we will see you in the next episode. So that is it for today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the video. We've had 5 questions answered, plus the bonus question. So do not forget, if you want to win the carbon fiber pack next time, make sure to leave your best question under the comment section under this video. For now, don't forget to subscribe to our social channels. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And I will see you in the next episode of the Top Drive Show.